In this video, we'll look into different vector tools in Affinity. So, before exploring all the tools, first of all, let's make sure that we are set to the Vector Studio mode, which is the mode right here. And after being set into the Vector Studio mode, first of all, the first tool that we will see is the Move tool, which is this tool right here. So what this tool does is it will simply be used to select and move different graphic elements in our artwork. For example, if we have a shape tool in our artboard like so, then we can select the move tool and just move it around like this. And we can do this for every other graphic elements as well. The next tool that we have on the line is the artboard tool, which is the tool right here. We can use the artboard tool to create any new artboards like this by clicking on the plus icon, or by simply clicking on the background and just dragging the artboard like this. So this is the artboard tool where we can use it to organize and manage different artboards and create a new one. Let's delete these artboards for now. The next tool that we have is the point transform tool. So what this tool does is it transforms any shape according to the position of the anchor point. For example, let's set an anchor point somewhere first. Okay, so we'll set the anchor point here. So right now anchor point is here. So we can just click on any point and just transform the shape or any element with the reference to that point, like so. And the next tool that we have is the node tool, which is this tool right here. What this tool basically does is it allows us to manipulate any shape or graphic element by selecting its component. Right now it's not allowing us to make any drastic transformations by selecting the point. However, we can do it by right clicking on the shape and then selecting convert to curves. And now we can just click on an individual point and then move those points around like this in order to transform each node of a shape. So the next tool that we have is a corner tool. So what this tool allows us to do is the corner tool allows us to create curves basically by clicking on the corner of any shape and then just dragging like so. By clicking on here and dragging like so, and we can create multiple curves around each point of a shape by clicking and then dragging. Okay, so this is what we came up with. So the next tool that we have is contour tool. So contour tool is something like offset in Adobe Illustrator, where we can expand or maybe we can contract the outline of a shape or any graphic element like this. And by selecting the contour tool, if we click on big appearance, it will work like the expand feature in Illustrator to expand that particular shape into a complete whole shape. So the next tool that we have is the pen tool. Pen tool is the same old pen tool that we have in our Adobe apps. We can create different lines, or we can make any curves around by using the pen tool. We can make a till sign as well. So there are a lot of applications that we can do with pen tool. So let's clear the screen first. The next tool that we have is the pencil tool. So what does pencil tool allow us to do is it simply allows us to draw any lines freely on our artboard. And we can also change the stroke of it by clicking and dragging on the stroke width slider. So this is how pencil tool normally works. So we can make a till sign as well, and it does it like this. The next tool that we have is the path brush tool. The path brush tool right here is very interesting. Let's increase the stroke of the brush and see. So the path brush tool is very interesting as it gives us a very smooth line. So the next tool that we have is knife tool. So first let's clear our screen, and then by selecting the knife tool, but before that let's create a shape first. Let's create any shape and just remove its outline stroke. And by selecting the knife, what we can do is we can simply cut a shape if it is filled with a color, like so, and then we can just simply select the cut part and just divide it. And we can also use the knife tool similar to the scissor tool in Illustrator, in addition to how knife tool functions, which is cutting a filled or a completely filled shape layer. So let's say if we have a line, let's create a line. If we have a line like this and we need to cut the line, then we can use the knife tool as well to cut the line. Right now you can see that the knife tool has been changed into a scissor icon, and if we click on here, now the line is cut, and we can simply select this portion individually, or we can ungroup it. I think we must ungroup it first. Okay, so we can select it individually, and if we move it, then you can see that it has been cut. So this is how the knife tool works. So I think it's very efficient tool because a single knife tool functions like both scissor tool and knife tool. And the next tool that we have is the width tool or stroke width tool. So what this tool basically allows us to do is it simply allows us to adjust the width of any stroke dynamically. We can change the stroke in this side, and maybe we can make the stroke of this side more thinner. It's like the same tool that we have in Adobe Illustrator to adjust the width of a stroke. Okay, so the next tool that we have is the gradient tool or the fill tool. So the fill tool here is very dynamic. We can select any type of the fill by selecting this tool. Let's say we want it to be linear. Now you can see that by selecting the linear, it turns into a gradient, and we can adjust the gradient or fill the gradient with any other color. Let's go with orange. Okay, we can fill the color with gradients with any other color as per we like. And we have other types of fill as well. So the next tool we have is this particular tool. I don't know what it is called, but let's try it out. Okay, so this tool also acts. Okay, so this tool is also a gradient tool, and we can select the type here. Alright, it's very interesting. It have new type of fills. Okay, so we normally use the linear one. Alright, so this is what the fill tool does overall, is just let us select different types of fill. Either it is a solid one or a gradient one and many more. So the next tool that we have is the shape tool, as you can see. So this is the shape tool, and there are a lot of shapes that Affinity has offered, where one is the rectangle, the other is circle, the other is a rounded rectangle, and more. I like this shape a lot, and let's try to draw it. Okay, so this is the shape that we have drawn. And we can also change the settings of different shapes from the contextual taskbar above. Maybe we can adjust the width of the shape. Maybe we can adjust the sides of the shape. Maybe we can adjust the cutout like so, and many settings that we can play around here. The next tool that we have is the shape builder tool. So the shape builder tool is also there in Adobe Illustrator, and it's a really handy tool. We can just select different shapes like so, and by selecting the shape builder tool, we could just cut out different intersections, or maybe cut out half of the shape entirely. Let's undo it. So this is how shape builder tool works. It allows us to make cuts and form different kind of new shapes. So the next tool that we have is vector flood fill tool. So basically this is a tool like a paint bucket tool where we can select different colors, right? So after selecting any color we like, we can just click on the shape and then fill the individual shape like this. So this is just like the paint bucket tool that we have in Adobe Illustrator. The next tool that we have is the artistic text tool. So the artistic text tool here is just like a single line text tool in Adobe Illustrator, where we can simply click once and just type anything. Type anything like this, and then we can increase the font from here. And this is a single line text, it's not a paragraph. And we can just, to break the line, we can hit enter and it will break the line like so. The next tool that we have is the frame tool. The frame tool is like a paragraph tool in Adobe Illustrator, where instead of clicking on a artboard, we click and drag and create a bounding box of the paragraph that we like. And here we can just type in something. We can type in something like this, or we can just, let's click on backspace, go to text, and maybe there is something that we can fill out. Okay, so it has filled the entire box with the filler text. So this is the paragraph text, where we can include different paragraphs in one box inside our design. The next tool that we have is the place tool. Place tool is simply a tool that lets us to place an image from the outside of Affinity. And the next tool that we have is the vector crop tool. So this is a very interesting tool. So what this allows us to do is, let's say if you are working on an illustration or any artwork, let's say we have multiple shapes like this. Okay, so let's say we have multiple shapes like this. Okay, so what this allows us to do is, let's select all the shapes and then group it. Now, by the use of this crop tool, we can crop the entire bounding box and then control what part needs to be shown and what part needs not to be shown, like so. This is a really handy tool, and we can again make the things that we want visible, and it is very indestructible to use it. So I think it will be really applicable in most of the use cases. So beside this, the next tool that we have is the ruler tool or the measure tool. So we can use the measure tool in order to measure different lines like this. Okay, we can use it to measure different lines like this. Okay, click and just drag, and you can see that it is in 10.936 inch. It is also a very handy tool. And the next tool that we have is the area tool. So this is also a really interesting tool, and what this allows us to do is it calculates the area of a shape. As you can see on our screen, that the area and the total in inches square. So this is how it works. It allows us to see the area of a particular shape. The next thing we have is the eyedropper or color picker tool, which we call in Affinity. So we can pick any colors right here, and it will be visible in our color bar right at the bottom. So you can see that we can pick many different colors. As we have selected the shape and picked, it has filled every shape with that particular green color. So the next tool we have is the hand tool, which is a very famous tool. We can move around by selecting the hand tool in the working space. And the next tool is the zoom tool, where we can simply click and drag around to zoom in and zoom out like so. Besides these visible tools, we can also access a lot of tools in Affinity. As you can see here, there are a lot of tools that we can access in Affinity. We'll view these tools somewhere in the later videos. But for beginners, these tools will be adequate. So these are the tools that are present in Affinity, which Affinity offers. And most of the tools are really handy, and I must admit that they are very dynamic. So if you find this video very helpful, please click the like button. And for more videos in the future, please click the subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video, and see you on the next video.